Following citywide school closures due to the COVID-19 outbreak, Bronx public charter schools have launched impressive remote learning programs for students. Actually, with plans being made for students and faculty return and blending also learning for the fall, there is one initial concern. And that concern, how are students going to be taken care of and what's going to be done to take care of schools in protecting its students as well as its teachers. Joining us now to share a little bit more is the Executive Director of Classical Charter Schools, Lester Long. And Lester, good to have you back again.
Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it, Daren.
Thank you. And listen, let me get into it here because as we're getting here, I mean, first of all, we're in August and, you know, school is right around the corner and a lot of people are making the adjustments. Things are happening and literally from day to day. But talk to us about where you guys are in terms of reopening.
That's a great question. And you're right, absolutely right. Things are changing on a daily basis, almost hourly, which is somewhat difficult. We've been building a really great process. So back in March when we went to remote learning, we spent a lot of time thinking about how can we ensure that our scholars at South Bronx Classical are able to get the best instruction possible despite being home and not in the building. We spent March, April, May, and June working on that. We knew that sometime in August or September, school would open again and with a physical building and on-site learning would occur. We still don't know exactly what day that will happen. That's going to be up to Governor Cuomo primarily. But we're working on a program that emphasizes parent choice. So what we've done is we've actually polled and surveyed our parents and asked them, what do you want? Do you want on-site learning? Do you want a mix? Do you want remote learning just as you had in the spring? And we're working on that now to ensure that every scholar gets what their parents really want. We have some parents, obviously, on one side who are either immunocompromised or just scared and they don't want to take medical risks. So they're going to want their children to be inside their house learning remotely. But we have other parents who really want their child in school, either for improved learning or often because they need to get to work. And we do definitely want to emphasize the equity problems and crisis that's coming about because a lot of people in our community are not able to work. We want to meet both of their needs. So it's been a lot of conversation with our 1,500 parents and talking to them about what they prefer and then meeting that with a schedule that works.
Yeah. Well, transferring to remote learning, I mean, obviously for every educational institution comes with its own set of challenges. What's it been like for you looking at remote learning, getting your faculty up to speed, and then also having to get that transition over for students?
That's a great question. It was our biggest struggle back in March, and it's becoming our biggest struggle again starting for the fall. It's technology. It's making sure that all our parents have a strong, reliable internet connection. Some of our parents don't have it, or they're in buildings where it's a little weak. And without that strong connection, that gap, that tech gap that we're seeing over the last 20 years is just getting wider. So our operations team is actually speaking to parents every month, thinking about how can we get you a better internet connection. The second part is obviously the device. How do we get 1,500 Chromebooks to whomever needs them? So getting that right is going to be really important as we go in. The second part is going to be communication with parents. I mean, every day we're going to be expecting parents and our staff to be giving temperatures. Everyone entering the building is going to need to get their temperature taken. So that means a lot of communication with home. Your child has a temperature of 101. They have to go into an isolation room and there's a whole process. So there's going to be just a lot of communication with parents. So I think now more than ever at the city, at the classical city and world level, communication just has to improve.
And when we talk about your school is a very special school. It's one of the recognition schools here in the borough of the Bronx and across New York City. But talk to us about pressure. Do you feel an astronomical amount of pressure as an administrator in getting this right?
The pressures are truly remarkable, unprecedented. I've never experienced the once a century global pandemic of the virus. I'm old, but not that old. I've never experienced the real challenges of the shutdown, especially as they're harming some of our parents and working through the financial crises. And then we have to deal with a lot of the social injustices we saw too closely in May and June. Getting all that right is outrageously stressful and high pressure, as you call it. But I think if we get it right, we'll be a model for other charter schools and for the greater New York City metropolitan area. There's still a lot of work to do, but I'm excited and optimistic that we're going to get this better than we thought initially.
Yeah. What are you hearing? I mean, I know you probably have parents in your school that have multiple children, right? And so when you talk about learning virtually, I think about, okay, you got a brother over here and a sister over here. Maybe there's one computer for mom who has to be at work, and then you think about the brother and the sister. Are they fighting over the computer? What are you hearing in terms of being able to meet those needs for parents that may have multiple kids in the home?
Absolutely. That's very real. In fact, our parent survey actually asks, how many devices do you have for all your students? So any classical child, even if they have a sibling also in the school, needs their own device. And the other issue is, as you mentioned, mom has to work from home. So she needs her computer to make a living, but she also needs that internet connection. So if you have 3 people in an apartment trying to use that internet connection, you can have all the Zoom shakiness that we've seen and glitchiness. So we're working through all that, but I think it's a call for all administrators at the city level to think about this tech gap and think about how do we make sure that at least we've got a strong internet connection for every New York City citizen and resident.
Yeah. What do you want parents to know as we get ready to get close to the door? I mean, obviously we're here in August. Hard to believe that, we're talking about August already, given the fact COVID-19 seems to be moving slow in some instances. And then on the other side, it seems like it's moving just all too fast. But what do you want parents, what do you want students to know at this time?
The most important thing to know is we're putting safety first. We have a 3-tier plan: safety, equity, and then excellence. And classical is really going to be focusing on that first. So we're going to have fairly strict guidelines as far as entry into the building for all staff, for all visitors, for all students and parents, and just being patient with us as we make absolutely sure that that school building is as safe as possible from the virus.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to let you know, certainly we are glad to have you here on Open. The last time we were in studio, this time we got to do it virtually, but hopefully the next time we see you and check in with you, we'll be able to do it a little bit closer, a little bit more face to face.
I really hope so, Daren. I miss you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me on again.
Hey, listen, keep doing a great job that you're doing. Keep the kids safe. I know that it's really rough for you guys out there. And so I want to acknowledge and also thank you as an administrator for trying to get it right. I know it's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but definitely keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Lester.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Take care.
All righty. Listen, we want you to stay with us here on Open. We still have more show coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back right after this.